He'll point to cameras.
Okay. Go.
Good morning. How's everyone doing this morning? We're here now for the shout out, and I have with me, I'm so glad, Marc Seagrave, the Director of Strategy and Business Development for Florida City Gas.
Yes, sir.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to have the conversation with you.
Oh, you know what? There are so many things, and looking at what you've done and looking at the comparisons with what I've done, just totally excited to be here today and have you. Just so you guys know, Marc is a lifelong Floridian. Spent 22 years in the Army and Army Reserves. So I got to tell you, that's exactly what I did, but just in the Navy. I spent a long period of time in the Navy, active duty, shifted over to Navy Reserves. I actually did a joint tour with the Army. In fact, when I came out, I told all my buddies, you want to appreciate the Navy, go spend 18 months with the Army.
For sure.
But we have a couple of other things in parallel. I had a force protection unit. So I was actually the OIC of 2 military police units. And I understand that you ran military police units, or you were the top guy. As far as what do they call them, top? And
well, I was a first sergeant. I also made it to sergeant major. And once you get at that level, you're above the individual unit level. But most of my career was spent in a military police company, and really enjoyed that career.
Excellent, excellent. I tell you what, we run into my wife is the director of Veterans and Military Services at Miami-Dade College, and I run into a lot of vets that are here trying to get education and do things here in South Florida. But the guys I really get attached to are the guys that do 10, 15, 20 years. They just seem to have it all together. And looking at what you've accomplished, it tracks right along with that. It's just amazing. Right now, you're up in you live up in Vero Beach?
I live in Vero Beach.
Oh, yeah, excellent, excellent. Tell us how you got down here.
Well, Florida City Gas covers most of the east coast of Florida, and so we have a lot of business activities down in Miami-Dade County. I was telling you a little bit before the show that my wife is from this area, so we travel and come down and spend time in Miami and really enjoy it here. And right now we are down in Key Largo for a month, and so it was an easy drive up this morning. So we love the area, though. So I'm down here quite frequently.
Very nice, very nice. So Florida City Gas, can you tell me, when did they start here in Florida? What's a little bit of their history?
Florida City Gas was started by the Langer family in 1947 as a propane company. Wow. Their method of distributing gas was laying down underground distribution systems. They started basically in Hialeah, Opelika, places of that were growing in the late 40s and early 50s. And when natural gas became available in Florida in 1960, City Gas converted those propane systems to natural gas and have been in business ever since that time as a natural gas utility company. We were acquired by NextEra in 2018, and we are basically a subsidiary of Florida Power and Light, being a regulated utility. NextEra is kind of divided, regulated, non-regulated activities. So Florida Power and Light, Gulf Power, which is being folded into Florida Power and Light, and Florida City Gas are all regulated. So we're kind of on that side of the business. So since that time, we've been continuing to expand, and we're presently going further south in Dade County, down into Homestead, and I know that you're aware of some of what we're trying to accomplish down there. So that's basically the short history of the company. They've been around since 1947.
Okay, so shifting from propane to natural gas, what's the difference between the two?
Well, propane is a energy source that is contained in a tank, and it has to be trucked to be delivered to the storage tank. There's a finite amount of that energy. It has to be constantly refilled. Whereas natural gas is brought in via pipelines from its source, from basically the bottom of the well, through refining, through transmission, down to the local distribution company, which is the space that we're in, and then distributed to customers through a meter. And so it's in an inexhaustible supply of energy, whereas in propane, you have a finite amount. The tank can run out. Natural gas never runs out because it basically comes from a network all throughout North America.
So is that a reason? Is there a reason that it's important then to have natural gas in the community?
Well, there's multiple reasons to have natural gas in the community. Number one, in Florida, you certainly don't need it to sustain life as you would if you were up north where it's freezing cold. So propane is a lifestyle choice. Not propane, excuse me. Natural gas is a lifestyle choice. It is an economic choice. And here in Florida, where we have not too infrequent hurricanes, natural gas is a very popular choice to be able to supply yourself with backup power, whether it's for your business or for your home.
Yeah, see, and that you just threw that segue in there for me, because I was wondering about hurricanes and natural gas and the advantages of that. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Well, first off, natural gas is a very, very abundant resource here in the United States, and so it doesn't come from foreign sources. So it's not subject to interruptions due to foreign political issues and whatnot. It's an American resource. Number one. Number two. It's the cleanest of all of the carbon-based fuels. It is what's called low carbon. It's not no carbon, but it's very, very close. So it's very environmentally friendly. Number three, because of the vast amount of natural gas supply, it's very economical. It's half the cost of any other competing energy source. So that makes it a very popular choice for industrial uses, for commercial uses, and then just for individual homeowners. That's what makes it so popular.
Okay. All right. So the obvious question there is, now, how safe is it? If we have this all over the place in a big storage facility that's proposed, we'll get to that in a minute. Is it safe?
It's absolutely safe. I've been in the business for 33 years, and I have never had, fortunately, I'm knocking on wood, a customer or an employee injured by natural gas. Natural gas is lighter than air. It dissipates rapidly. It is a very forgiving fuel, and we do experience leaks and things of that nature when excavation damage. Contractors at times do not call the state's call before you dig 811 Sunshine to get a delivery ticket, or not a delivery ticket, but to get an excavation ticket, and we're subject to excavation damage, but it's fixed rapidly. There's extremely rare that you have any type of flammable event with that, because the natural gas rises. It's lighter than it rises so rapidly that it makes it very safe.
So when you see these big tanks exploding in the movies and the guy walking away flips the thing over his shoulder, that's not the way.
That's some other energy source. That's not natural gas.
Okay. And so gas stations, safety related, is there a difference? When I say gas stations, I mean petrol type gas stations.
Yeah, one of the things that folks don't realize is that every time that you're filling your tank, there's some vapor being emitted at a gas station. That's why you see no smoking signs. I mean, you have to be intelligent around any type of energy. You don't want to touch a bare electric wire. You don't want to strike a match near a gasoline can. There's some sensibility that people must apply when they're around energy. But again, natural gas is safer than what you would experience when you're filling gas in your own car. There's no vapor being emitted when you're distributing the natural gas to a home or a business. So, but when you're filling your car, there is. And even that is safe. But you're obviously not smoking, and you're being very conscious of your surroundings. So, so when you compare it to a gas station, it's much more safer than gas.
Okay. All right. So if we're looking at expanding in our neighborhood, I know that you guys are looking at putting a new facility in our Park of Commerce.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So when you look at Florida as a peninsula, we're close to the southernmost area of the United States, and that means that when the transmission lines that deliver natural gas are at basically the end of the line here in Florida, we are growing so rapidly that we need this LNG, liquefied natural gas storage facility that will serve both as a backup in the event of an emergency, but also for peak days if before additional transmission resources are built, if we need to have good continuity with our supply to customers and not have any pressure issues or whatnot, we can inject from that liquefied. We can vaporize the liquid that's being stored in the tanks, inject it into our natural gas system, and the reliability is maintained at 100%, just like we are today.
Okay, so by being south of the airport, where you're going to look to service the southern tip of Dade County, will we as businesses and homeowners be able to use LNG more?
Well, you're using it indirectly because it's you're talking about an energy that is stored as a liquid. When you liquefy vaporous natural gas, you can condense that energy to 600 times more of its energy content in a cubic foot than it would be in its vapor state. So we can store a lot of energy. We can vaporize that energy when it's needed during periods of peak demand or in the event of an emergency. And so for Homestead, being way down at the very end of the natural gas system in the entire country, this facility means that they being businesses, homeowners, can depend on natural gas being available even after a hurricane, a storm, in the event of emergency. If we have an excavation damage somewhere north of Homestead, the businesses and residents there do not have to worry about being without gas. This facility will keep them whole.
Excellent, excellent. I saw some drawings of the artist renditions of the proposed location, and if you guys go on the website, you'll be able to see that. But I was very impressed with not only the safety, but you actually made an effort to made it look nice with trees and shrubbery to the point where you can't even see it from the street. Is that something you always do, or are you guys just looking ahead?
Well, our company as a whole, NextEra, Florida Power & Light, Florida City Gas, we're very conscious of the way that our facilities appear in the community. We want our facilities to be attractive and to fit in with the atmosphere of the community and be attractive to those who may want to move close. If you notice from the renderings of the facility that it's going to be surrounded by very lush landscaping. There's a wall behind that. So the appearance will be improved over just a lot with grass on it. So
absolutely. Yeah. And that Commerce, the Park of Commerce, has been sitting there for a while. So having any kind of improvement, quite frankly, is an improvement. But I'm also very excited about not only your safety record, but what you're looking to do with training our first responders. And can you tell me, is that something you always do, or is Homestead special?
Well, Homestead is special, but we do it everywhere. Our operations group meets with first responders on a regular basis. On an annualized basis, we do some drills, like emergency response drills. We'll set up a scenario. We'll run that scenario all the way through our call center to the emergency dispatch, to when we roll our crews to respond to the scene of the damage. We meet up with and coordinate with the first responders, whether it be police, fire, and so on. And then we go through the exercise of having coverage from the first responders, the firefighters. They have hose lines ready in the event of ignition. Our first responders suit up in fire suits with oxygen, and they'll move to the point of damage and make it safe. And we run through those scenarios, and it'll be no different than with our LNG facility, and work through the responses with that, and exercise and practice that with the first responder organizations.
And that's impressive. And as a military person, as well as I know you are, that's one of the things you develop, that muscle memory by doing these exercises, war games, more or less, and figure out, okay, these are the things. You also kind of find the pitfalls and the traps by working through these exercises. So I can't even ask you to impress me because you already have. So I'm excited about that. I need to pause just for a second because we have to pay the bills. I need to throw an ad out there too.
Completely.
So I'm very happy again to mention that we are looking at doing events in the evenings through the South Dade Chamber of Commerce. We had a very successful SDCC after hours at Exit 1 Tap Room. The next one will be on the 1st of July, which is going to be Celebrate Your Independence from COVID. So that's coming up. We'll give you a location here very, very shortly. So please pay attention to that. We're also looking at doing a wellness fair. We had a wellness fair yesterday up in Cutler Bay. The next wellness fair, it will be scheduled for July, and it will be down in Florida City. So we'll be throwing out all kinds of things, mammograms, blood drive, testing, and things like that, just to make sure that we're providing our community with the things that they need, both medically and otherwise. Kind of copying off of these guys because they're getting it done. So we want to do the same. So let me ask you, if Mark, I'm sorry to just cut right back over to you.
No problem.
If someone wanted to learn more about your services, how do they do that?
Well, there's a number of resources out there. First, they can reach our website, www.floridacity.gas.com. They can reach out when they call we have a customer service line. They can then be connected to an account executive if they're interested in establishing service, and that account executive will take them through the entire process and make sure that the customer understands what the economic benefits are, the process of that we have to undergo to get natural gas to their location, how they'll receive their bill, what that looks like. We have actually like a pre-flight checklist, if you will, that we go down through step by step to make sure that we're very consistent in how we explain our service delivery and make sure that we do not forget anything. And then both we and the customer signs off on that. We call it a quality control checklist, and we go down through that and make sure everybody's pretty well educated by the time they start service.
Nice. And that's both business and residential?
It's for all customers, business or residential.
Excellent. So I hear you're saying that your time and effort is more or less an investment in our community, which is exciting to me. I'm trying to get businesses, we are trying to get businesses to invest in South Dade, really, quite frankly, in all of Florida. But in looking at South Dade, we want our growth to be responsible. And that's one of the things that I really, really like about what you guys are doing, what FPL is doing. You're responsible in your growth. It's nothing that's erratic. It's nothing that's unplanned. It's nothing that cannot be controlled. And what that does for a community is we don't have sprawl. And every situation has emergency management that's lined up for it, medical services that's lined up for it, and just plain every day, let's have a good time in life. So I really, really am appreciative of what you guys are doing. And we're trying to do that with the chamber also. If you want to know more about what we're doing, please go to southdadechamber.org and take a look. And as soon as you finish with that, you need to go over and take a look at Florida City Gas and see what they're doing, because they are part of this community and they're helping us and to help each other. One of the things I mentioned the other day at the city council, you have employees that live in our community. They're our neighbors. Their children go to school with our children. So what happens to us happens to them. And so you're more or less a big company that acts like a small company. And I really, really like that. I really do.
We deeply care about the communities we serve, and we invest in them. Several years ago, we did a Habitat for Humanity build. I believe it was in the Homestead Housing Authority. We invest our time and effort in the community by volunteerism. So that's very important. And as you mentioned, we do have employees that either work out at Turkey Point or they work for Florida City Gas that live in and around Homestead, and they're very excited about our project. One of the things that came up recently, there was a question around, well, what would our liquefied natural gas storage plant mean to the Homestead Park of Commerce? It's kind of a standby facility, therefore you're not going to have people there every day. Well, what it means for the Homestead Park of Commerce, the way that I see it from a business perspective, is that we'll be extending the connector, the underground pipeline to connect to that facility to our mainline system. That will make natural gas available inside the Homestead Park of Commerce, which will attract other businesses such as manufacturing and businesses that have a high use need for natural gas. So, and that line will be brought down at no cost to those participants that would want it or need it in the Homestead Park of Commerce. Whereas if our facility didn't exist there, they would end up having to pay to get that line down, which could be in the millions of dollars to extend it from where it's at. So that's going to be a real asset and a real benefit for expanding business in the Homestead Park of Commerce.
Right. That's if you think about that, why would they pay to have to get access? Most of the time, they're just not going to come. But with you guys being there in that facility and the pipeline that they can then tap into, it's not really only the Park of Commerce that is going to be impacted, but anyone anywhere in the city, if they want to bring a business down, they're going to like that.
That's exactly right. You know, this facility that we intend to locating the Homestead Park of Commerce is not an activity to make money on behalf of our company. It's to ensure that we have the reliability that we need to serve the communities in Homestead and to points north in the event of a storm or an unlikely pipeline outage. Homestead, the hospital in Homestead will continue to have their energy for, so that they can continue with surgeries and hospitalizations. The grocery stores will have their backup power. Restaurants, laundromats will be able to continue to operate in the event that we'd have a storm-related outage or some type of damage.
What about tax benefits to the city of Homestead?
Well, we pay taxes. We're a good corporate citizen. We pay the appropriate taxes for the investment in property and so forth. So if you think about the ad valorem taxes that will result from the facility being constructed, but there again, there's also all the utility taxes and franchise fees that go along with utility service that go back into the coffers of Homestead itself. And they, obviously, the city invests in the community. So there's a lot of taxes being paid and a lot of taxes that are being utilized to support the community.
So on its face, then, there's a value in us having that plant, that facility here. I mean, just in the fact that it's there and that you own it and that you're going to do things, including paying your taxes within the city of Homestead.
It's the interesting thing is that it's doesn't make noise that really gets outside of the property boundaries. There's actually two walls that are inside of the property boundary, and then with the lush landscaping around it, it almost looks like a city park when you walk by. So you won't know it's there, but you'll enjoy it being there when the power goes out or when the natural gas has a potential supply disruption upstream, which doesn't normally happen, but it's there, and you'll be thankful if in the event of an emergency that this location that no one knows about. And that's the great thing. You'll just be able to continue to operate your business and you'll never know the difference that there was some type of disruption.
Excellent. I'm loving it. It's something I said it before. I'm really, really excited about it. I'm glad to have you here and the prospect going forward. I mean, it's just super. We're going to have you come down over and over again to tell us the new things that you're doing. But, again, it's incredible for me to have a large business that operates and acts like a small business. People always say, well, what does that look like? It's being part of the community. And I really, really love the fact of that. So if we were going to close out, what would you tell the folks that are listening to us today?
Well, I would just tell everyone that we very much enjoy being in Homestead. We're there for the long haul. We're going to continue to invest in the community. We have expansion plans, whether it's going west, going south, going further north, or out to the east. Actually, this project gets us a little bit to the east side, what we're talking about with the LNG. But we just very much appreciate our customers. We're going to grow with the community, as you mentioned. There's taxes that we pay and proceeds that help support that local growth, and we appreciate being part of the chamber and being active in those roles. So I thank you very much for inviting us on the show today.
My pleasure. Folks, we have spent the morning with Marc Seagrave, the Director of Strategy and Business Development at Florida City Gas. It's been fun for me. It's been exciting for me. I hope you learned something this morning. If you have any questions, please reach out and we'll see if we can get them answered. In the meantime, we will see you on the Shoutout next week.